On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. She's basically walked into a major trap. I believe this trap was set long ago, and I don't see any way that she gets out of this scot-free. I know Pelosi and many others are going to come to her rescue. I know corporate media is going to come to her rescue, and probably even some companies might even consider coming to her rescue. And there's two ways to look at that. There's like, oh no, they're going to make it look like it's okay, and people are going to believe that. Or there's the, wow, I can't believe how many people are willing to support behaviors that are absolutely unsafe, are dangerous, and are costing people lives and injury. And that's already happened. Now, Russia's doing some stuff right now. We've got Mike Lindell with his Frank speech going live today. It's actually not gone super smoothly. The videos, I've actually been listening all day. It's really cool. They've got Flynn and all these other people on there. It's fantastic stuff that's coming through. Again, we got a lot going on, and things are changing right now. The storm is either happening, the storm is soon to come, and I think it's more like that. But we're building up to something. I think the Siobhan case, which is supposedly closing arguments today, is happening. All of this stuff is going to happen around the same time. This is also the 19th of April, and the 19th through the end of the month is a Kabbalistic, and the Cabal, it's an occult sacrifice period. Now, you don't have to believe in all that nonsense, that's fine, but there are occults, there are people that believe in some crazy stuff, and this is a symbolic time for them to offer up sacrifice to Baal or whatever the stupid god they pray to is. And I say stupid, it's actually like the devil. So, not stupid, really, quite a foe. But, again, that's the way it worked, right? Jesus walked in the desert for 40 days and was tempted by the devil, 3 times or more? Was tempted, by the devil. That's how this is playing out. And that's what many of us are experiencing. So when people say this is biblical, to a large extent, it is. The stuff we read about in the Bible is what we're going through as a population right now. We're all going through our own trials and tribulations, our own decisions, whether we've got hate in our hearts. Someone that I was very close to a few years back, one of the sweetest women, honestly, that I know, and she was texting me, asking me if I was getting the vaccine, and kind of figured she was going in the opposite direction of what I'm going, and come to find out we agreed with each other. But then she follows up with how much she hates Trump, so she voted for Biden even though she's not a total whack job. And I'm like, ba, 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 ba. And then long story short, I said, hate in our heart is something that does not look good. It does not feel good, and it's one of those things that's super unattractive. And I kind of reminded her of that. And she actually thanked me for it, but it was disappointing. And that is, again, where all of us are at right now. We've got so much going on. Obviously, there is shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting. Doesn't that seem a little strange, right? Like, I don't know, a normal given year, you might have a few mass shootings. I don't even know what a normal number is. Let's say 5. Let's say 10. I don't know. But we're getting a crap ton of them right now. Multiple per day. Now, when they say all assets are deployed, these are kind of some of the things they've talked about. There's certainly a lot of psychology that can go into some of these people. A lot of these people have been through hypnosis. Some of them literally are programmed through other means. Some of these people are just so disturbed in general in life that it's made them very easy to program. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into this. I've gone down multiple rabbit holes when it comes to this stuff. And it's funny is earlier on, a lot of these people have the same shrinks. That being said, there's suspect after suspect after suspect. This one went on a shooting spree today in Austin, Texas. He killed a black man and 2 Hispanic women. He's been identified as Stephen Nicholas Broderick. He was charged last year for a sex crime against a child, and he got out so he could commit more crimes, murders now. Now, again, it's not the gun. It's the individual. It's the individual. Pure and simple. So in the past month, Zero Hedge shared this on Q-Tips, or Q-Tips shared this from Zero Hedge, probably more like that. But you can see that there has been a crap ton, and that's a scientific term, there's a crap ton of shootings that have been going on just in the past month. The third mass shooting in 24 hours is 5 wounded in Louisiana when this was posted. There's a lot going on right now. There's an obvious movement happening. They're trying to ramp up anger, hatred, divisiveness, all of this stuff because tomorrow or the next day or sometime this week, maybe next week, the Chauvin case is going to come to a close. He is not going to be found guilty of murder for sure. And the S, for some people, is going to absolutely hit the fan. Now, police dispatch respond to the Minneapolis shooting. There was a shooting in Minneapolis after Maxine Waters did her incitement. I'm going to call it what it is. She went out and asked people to get even more aggressive, to get into people's faces even more. So that's inciting. After doing that, someone did a drive-by shooting on the D.C. police and the National Guard. Not the D.C. police, sorry. The police, the Minneapolis police and the Minneapolis National Guard. Did a drive-by, out the window, injured one of them. Right after she gave her speech. Now that's how incitement works. Not when you're talking about let's walk down and peacefully protest with our voices. That somehow, I mean, that's peaceful, so that couldn't quite incite. And then they said, no, it was when he asked everyone to come out to D.C. on the 6th. That's when he incited. Well, when you do it right before the event, that's actually inciting. That's what a lot of the lawyers have come out to talk about. Now, they're trying to, of course, spin that always with Trump and trying to make everything work against him. But what about in the cases where the same rules they applied to him just months ago now apply to them? National Guard troop injured after being shot at. Not cool. Not cool at all. So, Mad Maxine beyond the Thunderdome, I love it, should read the Riot Act. This is interesting because that's what 18 U.S. Code 2101 is the Riot Act. So, what the Riot Act says is whoever travels in interstate or foreign commerce or uses any facility to the mall, telegraph, telephone, radio, or television with the intent to incite a riot, to organize, promote, encourage, participate in, or carry on a riot, to commit any act of violence in furtherance of a riot, to aid or abet any person in inciting or participating in carrying on a riot, and who either during the course of any such travel, use, or threaten any purpose, it's cut off a little bit, any purpose specified, subparagraph, yada yada, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years. She's inciting violence. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, some of us, the obvious question you would ask is, all right, so is anyone going to do anything about it? I'm glad you asked. A couple people, actually. First and foremost, earlier today, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, big surprise, right, that she's jumping to the front, said she will introduce a resolution to expel Maxine Waters from Congress. We're going to see if that gets any legs, because, of course, Pelosi's not going to do anything about it. But, wait, is there more? Yeah. House Minority Leader, who's the one that, the Republican version of Pelosi, the House Minority Leader pledges to bring actions against Maxine Waters for inciting violence if Pelosi won't. Maxine Waters is inciting violence in Minneapolis, and she crossed state lines to do it, which makes it extra bad. It's one thing if you live in the state that you're asking them to burn down. It's another thing if you go to another state and say, burn down this state. That is problematic. Maxine Waters is in a bad, bad place. And she's been a House of Representative for something like 17 terms or some disgustingly long time. She needs to go in jail. She needs to see how Cuba is this time of year. Or Cuba, as they say down there. So Chauvin's closing arguments are going to begin today. And then on top of everything else, we've got the black leaders. A lot of, not all of them, but some of the black leaders, the ones that you would expect, are coming out and promoting more anger, more riots if acquittal is reached. Basically saying, I don't care what is legally going on with this individual. He was tried by a public court and is guilty in our minds. I don't care what a peer, his group of his peers think. Public matters more. And gosh, that reminds me of the days that lynchings used to occur. Didn't towns come together, have a quick, hey, is he guilty or not? He's guilty. Get a rope. Well, Well, how is this any different? And it's so interesting that it's coming from individuals that were victims of this kind of abuse. So funny how the world turns, right? How we've experienced something in our history, so I want to make sure I continue to reciprocate that same thing I'm pissed off at someone doing to me, right? That it just makes absolutely no sense. A lot of people do it. It's very common. Why did you cut off that person? Because they cut me off, or because people cut me off all the time, so I'm going to cut someone off too. It's the same thing. We continue behaviors because of some perceived thing that happened in the past, thusly justifies me continuing to make mistakes in the future. Now, from a logical standpoint, which a lot of these people don't use, that's a bad idea. You don't use past mistakes to make more future mistakes. You learn from the past mistakes so you don't do it again. You don't keep doing it. So we're having a very interesting situation right now where leaders in the black community are definitely trying to ramp up their base, get people riled up and mad at each other, trying to get more destruction to occur. You can see how this is rising to a crescendo. And we've, of course, got things going on in the Black Sea. We've got Biden doing crazy stuff. We've got Michael Brown and Breonna Taylor's families are asking Black Lives Matter where the money went. More and more. It initially was just Breonna Taylor. Now, Michael Brown's like, yeah, no, I want to get in on this too. Now, maybe they want some of the money. Maybe they're doing it for nefarious reasons. Maybe they're literally pissed off like they should be that this Black Lives Matter is getting all this money and not helping out the people that they're using to make the money. You know, it's kind of like when Donald Trump said to the Republican National Committee, you can't use my image and likeness to make for fundraising. And they're like, yeah, we're going to anyway. We don't care. It's the same thing. And Donald Trump's actually got right to say, no, you can't. Not without my permission. Speaking of the great man that he is, he wanted to remind us about some of the craziness that Joe Biden's doing, and this has to do with the pulling the troops out of Afghanistan. You've probably heard this. The plan was he's postponed it to September 11th. No question about it that September 11th is obviously a unique day in this history of this country. I'm not going to get into all of the strangeness that happened around that day. That was actually one of, probably JFK was really the red pill for me, but I was kind of already coming into 9/11 red-pilled, so I saw it differently than a lot of people do, and it pisses some people off, so it's not really a direction I feel like going. But using that date as the day to withdraw troops, so as Trump is saying, I wish Joe Biden wouldn't use September 11th as the date to withdraw our troops from Afghanistan for two reasons. First, we can and should get out way the frick earlier. 19 years is enough. In fact, far too much and way too long. I made early withdrawal possible by already pulling much of our billions of dollars of equipment out and, more importantly, reducing our military presence to less than 2,000 troops from the 16,000 level that was there. Likewise in Iraq, and 0 troops in Syria, except for the area where we kept the oil. Secondly, September 11th represents a very sad event in the period of our country and should remain a day of reflection and remembrance, honoring those great souls we lost. Getting out of Afghanistan is a wonderful and positive thing to do. I plan to withdraw on May 1st, and we should keep as close to that schedule as possible. Now, it is interesting if you think about it. Like, there's a lot of indications to suggest that Trump's actually in charge of the military, but Biden has to pretend he is. So again, Biden initially was saying, we're sending 2 warships up to the Black Sea to take care of Russia. And I think the real commander-in-chief's like, no, we're not. We're not doing that. Sorry. And then Biden had to come out 2 days later and be like, we're not going to do it, but we want to. But you just better behave yourself, Mr. Putin, right? This is kind of the same thing. Except they're letting him do this. Why? Because it shows what they're about. It gets egg on his face. It gets people to realize, one, we're going to totally break an agreement that we made with a group of people that have maintained their ceasefire. Donald Trump made an agreement with the Taliban. They haven't shot anybody since that agreement was made. And we said we were going to be out by May 1st. And Biden doesn't want to do that. And so the Taliban have basically said, look, you break your rule, we're going to break your face, essentially. And so already escalating. Biden's already escalating in a place that we should be coming home from. We've got escalations occurring up in Ukraine right now. We've got escalations occurring over in Iran right now. These are the places where the deep state is left. Also in Taiwan and China, the other little bit of stronghold that's left over. So things are happening. People are seeing it. And I know for a lot of the short-sighted people that don't truly understand how big this is that's going on in this world right now, yeah, you can't just go out and arrest everybody because they just hide it. They just start doing it elsewhere. There's too much. This is way too deep. It's been going on for way too long. And really, if you look at it, some of it's like they're putting back towards the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, really the Rothschilds. And they've been rich, like uber rich, for like hundreds of years. It's insane. So there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, a cool picture here. Trump hanging out with DeSantis at Mar-a-Lago. Really cool, man. This is really, really nice, fancy. I like how he's got different bread than everyone else, too. I notice the weirdest things sometimes. And this looks like Pompeo. So he's hanging out with Pompeo still, which is interesting, right? Like, Pompeo's not still technically working. He still seems to be really involved with the administration. That's kind of interesting, right? Otherwise, you'd think Mike would get a job doing something, consulting, whatever. Maybe he's got his hands in all sorts of stuff. Used to be CIA, I would assume so. But DeSantis is obviously carefully listening. They're having a very cool conversation. Looks like a delicious dinner, too. Very, very, very hungry right now. I'm making fresh pho broth right now. It's in the pressure cooker. It smells so freaking good. I wish you guys could smell it. Got all this stuff in there, and it's going to be amazing. Anywho, one thing that needs to happen, this is kind of funny if you think about it, we need a new law in case there's looting. So anybody caught rioting and looting who is also on welfare will forfeit their benefits for life. Instead, we'll redirect that money to businesses that suffered a loss. Now, for life is pretty extreme, but while they're in jail, sure. I mean, for life is one thing, but then what? They're going to be homeless? Like if they just... It's a touchy little subject. But what is interesting is Florida Governor DeSantis, guy in the other picture there a moment ago, he just passed an anti-riot bill into law, creating tougher penalties for violent protesters. Boom. Done. It's beautiful. The anti-riot measure in Polk County says it is the strongest anti-rioting, pro-law enforcement piece of legislation in the country. The signing comes in the midst of protests, riots, looting, arson, the whole kit and caboodle. The law, known as HB 1, sucks when it's similar to the other HR 1, right? It increases criminal penalties for assault, defacing monuments, and vandalizing public property during riots. See, this is how a leader stops people from doing horrible crimes. It is not how this leader does stuff. She actually goes and incites more crimes, so it's a little different. That being said, this is what DeSantis is doing. Pretty cool. Taiwan says it seeks long-range cruise missiles from the U.S. I'm super curious to see if this actually happens, because obviously the Biden administration wants to support China, mainland China, not Taiwan. Doesn't give a crap about Taiwan. Taiwan does have some missiles, could definitely do some craziness, but giving it a bunch of cruise missiles that it would be able to launch on short notice that have great range, are very low flying, and would stand a very strong, and actually you can navigate them in interesting ways, so you could get around AAA installments and stuff like that. They would actually, or SAMs for that matter, they could actually hit China where it hurts. And it would give them sort of that, for those of you that weren't alive in the 80s when the Russians or the Soviet Union and the Americans wanted to kill each other with nuclear weapons, we had this thing called MAD, M-A-D-D, Mutually Assured Destruction. Sorry, M-A-D, Mutually Assured Destruction. And dude, because I was in California, maybe that's what the second D was. Mutually Assured Destruction, dude. But yeah, that was the thing. You launch missiles at us, we'll launch missiles at you. Everyone dies. Bad idea. Let's just not do it. I got missiles, you got missiles. All right, let's just agree not to blow each other up with those. Kind of sort of how it works when this tiny little island that China desperately wants has the ability to ruin your whole day. You think twice about doing crazy stuff. Parler's going to be reinstated in the Apple Store. It's a huge win for free speech. I think that's completely overhyped. One, Parler is a shell of what it was when it first happened. Secondly, when I go to your website and I want to download your app and you send me to the Google App Store or you send me to the Apple App Store, you suck as a company. You instantly just removed your ability to actually have someone download your app either on a jailbroken phone or just to be able to download your app. If you've got a Google phone like me, I don't have to go through the Google Store. I can literally just download an app from anywhere and install it. Now, this is something I'd like some other people to consider, and I know this is crazy talk. First off, we know Apple's in bed with China. Duh. Secondly, we also know Apple's very into facial recognition and a lot of other things that they're also using against you. Third, I'm only Apple users, well, other people that leave their microphones on, I typically hear, we were just talking about something and all of a sudden I saw the advertisement. Yeah, that's how it works now. And on top of that, Apple really locks down their abilities to put whatever you want on your phone. Your phone, it's your phone, friends. You bought it. Apple doesn't pay for it. No, you do. So again, it's one of those things that I know people love Apples, and I will say the glass on an iPhone is super sexy. No question about it. I love to touch it. It's like, can I touch your phone? But after I'm done being creepy, I realize, it's a crap phone because you have very little control. It has more control over you than you of it. I'm not trying to rip on Apple. I know like way more than half my audience, well, half my audience is probably using an Apple phone. So just talking about things, that's all. If lockdowns are needed, why did more people die in states that were locked down compared to those that didn't? Pretty cool little graphic here. Now, it is weird to me, like right off the bat, I'm like, all right, California's way down here. What's wrong? And then I was like, okay, I guess I should read the graph. Total COVID deaths per million in the U.S. states up to April 16th, 2021. So as of 3 days ago, as of Friday, New Jersey, really high, the highest. New York, second highest. Massachusetts, third. Rhode Island. Then we got Mississippi. Then we got Arizona, Connecticut, Louisiana. Then our first red state, South Dakota. And again, not a huge population in South Dakota. They got a reasonably high death count. So yeah, that kind of sticks them in a crappy place. We got Bama, Pennsylvania, Indiana, then North Dakota, which I guess is another red state, is that? And then the yellows are, so whatever. It is what it is, but it is interesting when you actually look at the data and see that things are not better in the states where lockdowns occurred, are they? So there's no medical science behind Michigan's new mandate to mask 2-year-olds, the doctor warns. 2-year-olds. They've already got an immune system that's working on getting good at handling this planet. And then we find out that there's all sorts of chemicals in these blue masks. So that's probably what you're going to throw on your little child, chemicals. That's a great idea. How many people actually get like organic baby food because you're worried about the freaky stuff that's probably in the baby food or the formula maybe that you might have used if you didn't breastfeed or whatever? Like some of those have some freaky stuff in them. Did you get the one that was made in China or did you get the one that was actually manufactured somewhere else? Same kind of thing. And here we are now wanting to poison our 2-year-olds from the same tyrant that's somehow still in there. She's quite possibly the worst of all of them. Of all the governors, I think she's the best, biggest, harshest dictator. If she could be allowed to just shoot people on sight, I almost promise she would. I don't really know for sure, obviously, so it's hyperbolic, but still. It's unheard of. 2 to 4 years old. Now they got to wear masks. You guys got to, anyone in Michigan, folks, you got to kick that woman out of office. So something interesting is going on with cryptos right now. Again, I think there's a push to try to drop the prices. I don't think permanently. I think they're going to come back up. But there's something else that I came across that bothered me more than that. More than the fact that I'm not a big Bitcoin crypto fan. I know X22 is. He talks about it all the time. Pretty sure he's pretty invested in Bitcoin. That's why he only talks about Bitcoin. You ever notice how he doesn't mention like Ethereum or some of the other ones? No. Sometimes he'll call it, all the other currencies, right? But no, it's Bitcoin is the one he's always talking about. Whatever. Coal mine in China crashes crypto markets, and I love X22. Don't get me wrong. I watch this stuff every day. It's just there's a couple times where I'm just like, dude, really? Anyway, so coal mine in China crashes crypto markets. It's kind of weird, but so the issue was the system is powered by computing power, so necessary to both mine cryptos like Bitcoin and process validate the transactions, adding and validating blocks on the chain. Now, this is all in China. by the way. The rate at which this is accomplished is called the hash rate. As it turns out, an inordinate share of that computing power is concentrated in China, specifically in the Xinjiang region of China, home to one of the world's biggest Bitcoin mining networks. On April 10th, there was a coal mine explosion in Xinjiang, causing days of blackouts that took the vital crypto computing power offline. This cut the hash rate by as much as 50% over the subsequent days and was the critical factor in sparking the sudden and steep sell-off. China, one city where they do a huge amount of the farming, where a large amount of that price change probably happens. And if you think about it, another country that we don't trust that very much has the option to probably sell off huge amounts of this currency at one time and actually cause the value to drop enormously, on top of the fact that literally one coal plant went down in China and that shut down everything. Now, the other thing that tripped me out a little bit, there's now a huge reversal. China is now calling Bitcoin an investment alternative after years of crackdowns. Now, all of a sudden, China's okay with Bitcoin. Really? You still feel good about that? I mean, again, have some money there. I'm totally cool with that. Again, my whole problem is if the internet goes down and you got a Bitcoin wallet and I got $1,000 in cash, cash sucks. I'll admit it. It's definitely losing value, but I can take $1,000 in cash and I can go buy groceries. You lose the internet, you can't do anything with your money at all. And someone can hack your wallet. They can't hack my little drawer. I mean, they could break into my house, sure, but they can't hack it. They can hack my bank account. That's true. Again, interesting how it works. And yes, our economy's in a weird place right now. I think we're transitioning to a different kind of currency or a different kind of economy. And I know a lot of people want to be able to carry their wealth through this, so I get it. I'm not trying to get off on the wrong path here, but I think Bitcoin is an interesting concept. There are other types that you can get, Ethereum and all these different other ones, the Doge or whatever that is. Whatever. Hero pay mandates are putting heroes out of work. This is true. My girlfriend actually works for this company. And there's been a few stores that have literally shut down because they wanted to raise the amount of money that they paid workers for this hazard pay, which, again, that's great. I understand it. It's kind of like with Uber and Lyft. It's great that they want to get more money for their drivers. That's fantastic. But what that actually means, and there's a lot of people I don't think that understand this, no business is going to go, all right, so typically my bottom line, I'm making 10% profit. We're making up numbers here. I'm making 10% profit, and then they put in a law that says you got to pay hero pay to your people. There's a lot of people that think that Kroger's going to go, all right, well, I was taking 10%. I'll cut into that a little bit, and I'll pay my hero pay. No, that's not how it works. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever is that how it works. Kroger goes, I'm still going to make my 10% no matter what. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the prices of my groceries. Well, in some cities where stores aren't doing well, raising prices puts them out of business. And that's what's happened. And we've got a number of these situations occurring. And my girlfriend and I were talking about it, and she was under the opinion, like with Lyft or Uber, because Uber has gotten more expensive for her. And she was wondering, like, well, because of the hazard pay. So I don't understand why it's costing me more money. I'm like, sweetheart, what do you think, Uber's going to pay that? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, you are. Your hazard pay is coming. You're just paying more for a ride now. And that is how the game is played. So for all these people that just think you can do it, hey, just pay them $100 an hour. Not everybody can do that. And if you go in and raise all your prices in your store so you can afford that, and everyone's like, I'm not shopping at your freaking store. Are you kidding me? Then you're done. You're done. That's the end of your business. It doesn't work. Joe Biden meeting with Mitt Romney to discuss multi-trillion-dollar spending plan. I love how this is a guy that's supposed to represent Republicans. Obviously, there's very few Republicans. I think mostly they're going to be centered in Salt Lake City that actually think he's a Republican, that he represents anything other than a nightmare. And, of course, here he is working with the nightmare creator and trying to make it look like it's going to be bipartisan. I can't wait to see what a horrific deal these two numbnuts come up with. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. Biden admin reverses Trump's ban on using aborted fetal tissues for taxpayer-funded research. Yeah, this one's probably going to be a little good kick in the crotch for some of us. But a lot of people believe, well, I'm talking about a lot of these evil people that are currently in government, believe that, we don't want to miss out on any of these amazing things we could learn by taking advantage of these aborted babies by studying them. We don't want to lose out on that. So they're overturning what Trump created, which is pretty cool. HHS is reversing the 2019 decision, that's the thing that Trump did, that said, NIH grants and contract proposing the use of human fetal tissue from elective abortions will be reviewed by an ethics board. Not going to do that anymore. As they stated, we believe that we have to do the research it takes to make sure that we are incorporating innovation and getting all of those types of treatments and therapies out there to the American people. Plus, we need stuff to put in vaccines, folks. We need ingredients. Not enough dead babies lying around to just grind them up, put them in vaccines. Absolutely insane. Facing MAGA boycott, this is cool, and it demonstrates something that's a little bit figures, kind of, but Coke gets big boost from China and global markets. So what's funny is the Atlanta-based beverage company is facing a nationwide boycott from conservatives, and because of that, we want to be crystal clear and state unambiguously that we are disappointed in the outcomes of the Georgia voting election, right? This got them in all sorts of trouble. So because of their huge loss of sales in the United States, I guess China's opened up their country, it seems, and it's going to allow them to get more involved into their markets, which, hopefully Chinese people are smart enough to realize you shouldn't drink that crap because Coca-Cola, seriously, if you got a battery terminal for like your car battery and it's corroded, all that white, crazy, like metallic-y stuff that gets on the terminals, literally all you got to do, take Coca-Cola or take the top off, pour it straight on the terminal, straight on it, and it dissolves instantly all of that corrosion. One can of Coke will completely clear your terminals. One can. It's all it takes. It works very well. Don't put that stuff inside your body. It's horrible for you. Not just because they're a satanic evil company, but also because it's horrible for you. Pompeo, DeSantis, and Pence begin preparing for 2024 presidential race. This is another one of those crap headlines, by the way, folks. It's stupid, and it's just I'll just share with you the part that they're literally extrapolating this erroneous conclusion. Less than 3 months after former President Donald Trump left the White House, the race to succeed him atop the Republican Party is already beginning, as the story goes. Trump's former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, has launched an aggressive schedule visiting states that will play a pivotal role in the 2024 primaries. Really? That's the conclusion? Just because he's going to states that actually matter for the current situation we're in, for the 2022 elections that are coming up, and also are going to be the states where, once we establish that voting fraud occurred, are going to have to be up for grabs again. So maybe getting involved in those states, you mean? And you're assuming that means something else? Now, Mike Pence I could care less about, so sure, I'm sure he's thinking of running in 2024. Whatever. He got a pacemaker put in. That ought to buy him some time. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been courting donors, including in Trump's backyard, with a prominent speaking slot before the former president at a GOP fundraiser retreat dinner in Mar-a-Lago. Now, again, to me, I don't read into that means he's running for president yet. I do still think he's very likely going to be who's brought in to be vice president. Maybe it'll be Marjorie Taylor Greene. Who knows? But I'll tell you, DeSantis is awesome. The guy is freaking awesome. And having him as a VP going into the presidency of the following election would be powerful, right? Because that would almost assure having a good chance of him getting 8 more years after. So that'd be huge. So again, just understand there's a lot of crap news going on. There's even good people that are coming up to crap conclusions. So there's big talk about Frank's big announcement, in case you hadn't been able to hop on Frank TV all day or whatever the hell. You want to know what it is? No. MyPillow is suing Dominion for $1.6 billion. Not countersuing, straight up suing. Kind of interesting. He's not even touching the suit they did. He's like, whatever. I'll handle that as I handle that. But what I'm doing is I'm going to sue them So again, some are saying that Frank free speech, whatever, is the shot heard around the world. That's what General Flynn's been saying today. I don't know how much of this kind of stuff where people are suing Dominion is kind of a shot heard around the world as well. There's a lot going on right now, and I think we'll probably hear some other shots coming out with this Chauvin trial. Chauvin, whatever, however you say his name. It's like chauvinist is what I keep thinking the way it's spelled, right? So that's why I keep saying Chauvin, but whatever. So Russia is a mass. I don't know if this is true, but this is definitely indicating what's about to go on in the Ukraine. And the deep state is worried. Biden deep state, they're like, we need to be able to go to war with Russia, but we're not sure we're going to be able to justify it and not make it look like we're just straight up attacking you. But Russia has amassed over 150,000 troops in the Ukrainian border and in Crimea. So we'll see. I mean, again, I don't have any maps. I don't have anything more than this post shared on MelQ, but a little freaky what's going on. So I've told you guys, I think, before, I got these Wednesday nights, like guys' night, right? And I'll go out, hang out with a couple guys, friends of mine, and, we have dinner at a nice little Japanese restaurant. And we always drink copious amounts of beer. It's a big part of why we hang out together. That's really their juice of choice, frankly. This would work for them. They all got the COVID. They actually got sick, but they're probably still going to get the vaccine, especially one of them I talked to. So, yeah, Budweiser's now offering free beer if you can show that you've been vaccinated. Just insane how this is all playing out, folks. Again, we're going to continue moving in the direction we're going. Stuff's going to happen. What's happening over the next few weeks is going to be trying for all of us. This is the time for us to remember why we've been talking about all the things we've been talking about. To remember there is a plan in place. To also understand that the information that is typically shared with us is a lot like this crap story I had, where they make it sound like something that's not true. We also need to be very mindful that we have people like Maxine Waters, for example, that keep trying to stir the pot, or other leaders that keep trying to make things worse, or CNN that intentionally lies that we found out with Project Veritas. We need to remember these things. We're possibly getting, if we haven't already, we're possibly getting to that place where that red 1 through red 6 is going to happen, where the actual blackout will occur. One thing I want to point out that happened yesterday that I don't understand as of now, and I'm curious if it ever happens again, and if it does, I'm going to change the main video source that I link. But my Rumble video that I first posted yesterday got deleted. Don't know how. I didn't delete it. It just deleted. No longer there. I don't know if it's because I posted it on Gab and Parler and Minds. Maybe one of them complained, and then Rumble's just like, all right, we'll take it down. I got no information from Rumble telling me that they deleted it. I had no strikes on my account. I went to see if they were mad at me for something. Nothing. Yet the video magically disappeared. I re-uploaded it, changed the title a little bit. That might have been part of it. Who knows? But it was weird. So again, not sure what happened. Maybe it was just a coincidence that my video got deleted. And it was a pretty good video, for that matter. And this one, who knows? Because we're getting into some of the topics they don't want us talking about. They don't want us pointing out that Maxine Waters is majorly a part of the problem. And she needs to have some criminal action thrown at her. She is being a criminal. She is breaking the law. And I'm almost sure that's going to come forward. We'll see how things continue on. If you guys haven't had a chance, it's pretty cool. Like, they've been talking all day.
They're going to get the ticker tape up in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been...
they're going to get the ticker tape up in a minute.
They're working their buns off. So a lot's going on with Frank's speech, and again, they are getting hacked. They're not getting hacked, but they're being attacked. DDoS, direct denial of service, is happening a bunch to them. So this first day has been tough. General Flynn's been on there a bunch, so for you guys that actually managed to get your accounts early, it's pretty cool. And you can go full screen on it. I've just had it playing in the background. My office is in the other room next door, so I've just been listening all day. But it's good stuff. We're going to keep bringing it to you guys. There's more coming. Things are speeding up. What's going on with Russia is interesting, and what's going on in Iran, also interesting. And then, starting in May, Afghanistan. Biden's administration is definitely not making things better. And that's just becoming painfully obvious to everyone, and that's going to continue to happen. United we are strong, folks. Don't let them divide you. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.